Being considered, I call the member for Penrith.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Today I rise to talk in the House about Nepean Hospital, an important piece of infrastructure in my local community and one that is currently subject to quite a significant amount of discussion in the community. Now, Mr Speaker, you might recall at the recent election we made an announcement that we would be planning the long-term future upgrade of Nepean Hospital. This is a hospital that is under some stress. It's a hospital that has not had the long-term planning and therefore the long-term investment that has been required for it to be able to keep pace with the population growth that has happened in the community that I'm lucky enough to represent in this place. And one of the things I wanted to say in the chamber, Mr Speaker, was recognising just how important the work of the staff at Nepean Hospital, whether you're a doctor, whether you're a nurse, whether you're part of the administrative team, whether you're part of the plethora of support staff who make that hospital function every single day. I wanted to say in this chamber a very deep-hearted thank you for the work that you continue to do. It's also worth noting that over the last 5 years there's been a significant amount of work that has taken place at Nepean Hospital. We've opened a new oral health centre. It's one of the largest in the state. We've also opened a new mental health facility. We've also built a new car park at the hospital, and we've opened the relatively new East Block. Now, I wanted to do something that is sometimes considered unusual here. I wanted to recognise that the funding for that East Block was actually allocated under the previous government, and it was opened under the time that I was the representative of the Penrith community. Now, here's the rub of the green, though, Mr Speaker, and that is that had this community got the planning and the master planning work that it deserved, we might well have been able to get more investment up front at an earlier stage. But what we got was a short-term political opportunistic announcement that allowed us to get a reasonable sum of money, around $100 million, to allow that East Block facility to open. Well, we opened it in 2012, and here we are in 2016, and the cries from the opposition are that we are neglecting Nepean Hospital. Now, here's the other thing. So after a little bit of research, Mr Speaker, I went back to find out what Labor actually committed to at the last election. And they've made this announcement about investing in Nepean Hospital. They said they would set aside $351 million to redevelop Nepean Hospital. I note recently they've said they'll increase that to $370 million. They go through here referencing the Nepean Blue Mountains Local Health District Asset Strategic Plan. And then I got to this point that I thought was incredibly important to recognise in the House, because as you might recall, Mr Speaker, I said at the start that we made a commitment that we would spend $4 million for planning before we actually did any work. And I get to this line in the Labor Party policy document that was on their website. Final decisions around the project design will be made following the $4 million planning process. I'll just read that again. Final decisions on the project design will be made following the $4 million planning process. So is Labor telling my community now that they would shortchange them and go straight to the ground on turning the sod and not delivering what our community needs because they won't do the planning, they won't do the homework, and they'll shortchange us again? Or were they misleading us at the time of the election? Now, on top of that, Mr Speaker, I also went to the funding proposal that was attached to this, and I see through their Better Way infrastructure plan in the Parliamentary Budget Office that they only allocated for the entire state, not just Nepean Hospital, $116 million. So $370 million proposal. So their entire state infrastructure plan in the first year, 116. In 2015-2016, this year right now, they allocated 387. In 2016-17, 916. So if you're building a $370 million hospital and you're standing out there in Penrith telling people that you'd be doing it now, there is a question you've got to go out to every single one of the other people in the opposition and explain what projects did you promise at the election that you would cut to be able to do this. Because your own policy says you don't have the money to do it, and that means that I don't trust you that you'll actually do it in the future. But what's worse is your own policy said, do the planning first. Spend the $4 million. That's exactly what this government is doing. It allocated money in the first year to planning. It allocated money to this year in planning. And then I get howled down in the community for making sure I support the planning process that will give Nepean Hospital the hospital that it deserves. Mr Speaker, this evidence before this House and their own policy says that people of Penrith cannot trust Labor to deliver on Nepean Hospital.